Hello?
Hey, Russ, it's Casper from Silver Tiger Media. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Very good indeed. Thanks, mate. Thanks very much for joining us for a chat.
You're welcome.
Well, congratulations on piecing out time. It's tremendous work. You seem to have come back better than ever.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Oh, not at all. Besides the album being a fine work musically, GR seems to have returned with a new maturity to the music. Was the 8-year break essential for the band?
I think so. I think, the break was not designed, it was designed to be permanent, but I think that the end result is that we were able to come back and really focus on how fortunate we've been that we even have the opportunity to be in a band. And the way that we had to write the album around all of our work and family schedules really made us focus probably harder than we have in a long time on coming up with good stuff. We also knew that after the layoff and having done so long since our last release, that expectations were going to be such that we wanted to make sure we had something extraordinary.
Sure. And that's exactly what you've done, without doubt. And of course, you weren't sitting on your hands personally, working with Only Crime, Creep Division, Fury 66, State of Grace, along with a whole range of guest appearances. What led to you reuniting?
We've had opportunities all during the 5 years to get together and play. We got offered lots of money to play different festivals, and we just weren't interested. And I think that the idea to play again was, I think, spearheaded by our bass player Chuck, and he would periodically contact me to see if I had any interest in playing, and I would always say no. And then at one point, about 5 years in, Luke, our guitar player, and I sat down, and they basically convinced me to show up at practice and run through the songs and to see how it felt. And we did that, and it was a lot of fun. And then we said, well, let's play a show and see how that goes. So we did that, and that was pretty fun. And kind of just went on from there. And next thing you knew, we were back at it.
Indeed, and in fantastic form as well. Every track on this album is just killer stuff. What's the overall focus of the album?
It's a kind of a balancing act between hope and despair. It's a lot of the songs on the record have to do with climate change and where our planet, where our people are going. As a human race, as stewards of the planet, and how we failed, and really taking ownership of that, but then also taking a look at what are some things we can do in the now to divert the course that we're on. That's probably the underlying theme of the record, I would say.
Sure, and that's highlighted by Grace and Virtue. It's a brilliant track, and it's beautifully placed on the album as well. It sort of cuts the listener a little bit of slack, both musically and blame-wise, for the woes of the world. Was that the intent of the track?
Yeah. What's that?
Was that the intent of that track?
No, but I can definitely see, how it comes off that way, being where it's at in the sequence. It's a little bit mellower than some of the other stuff, and that's a song that I wrote while the band was no longer playing. I had come up with some songs that I demoed on my own, and that's one of the ones that when we started playing again and we decided that we wanted to explore writing some new music, I played it for the guys, and they liked it enough to sort of adopt it into this new thing.
Indeed, and it suits perfectly, beautifully. You wrote most of the tracks personally. Has this album been brewing in the background for a long time?
Well, I'm a songwriter, and so sometimes the songs just come. And I did have about 5 years, so I didn't really have a band to write for, since I don't write any Only Crime music. So the Grace and Virtue was a song that I'd had for a while, but once the songwriting process started, once we knew we had an album and we had a studio date booked, the momentum just started picking up, and I was fortunate enough to have a lot of ideas come come to the forefront, and just picked up my guitar, and the next thing I knew, I would have these songs, and I just kept bringing them in, and sometimes they passed muster, sometimes they didn't. So
yeah,
we had a really high standard for this material, and so we just kept bringing in songs until everybody liked them.
Fantastic. And obviously you're in a geographic location perfect for punk and at a perfect time, starting in the 80s. How did it all start for you personally in music, Russ?
Like, how did I get into punk music?
Yeah, yep.
I was introduced to the Dead Kennedys by a schoolmate, and we were both playing in the marching band at my high school, and we were both playing drums, and this guy had a tape deck, and he played me the Dead Kennedys. The song was called Chemical Warfare, and I'd never heard anything like it, and I wanted to hear more. Mm-hmm. And so the next day I went out and bought a Dead Kennedys album, and I bought a couple other punk out records, and I just never stopped.
Wonderful, and thankfully you haven't stopped. I've always thought that you guys refreshed the punk scene back in 1986 and almost immediately stamped your authority on the scene. Do you think the genre needed a new face, or were you just doing your thing?
We were just doing our thing, and by the time we got recognized, there was already quite a lot of bands, but we felt like we were bringing something a little bit different as far as the melody that was real prevalent in the music from California, where we're from, but also coming at it with a really distinct political and social aesthetic to the lyrics. We also were influenced a little bit by some harder bands, like more hardcore bands. So there was a little bit of an edge to our music that we felt set us a little bit apart.
Indeed, and set you apart it did. I don't want to concentrate too much on the past, but why the breakup in 2007?
Well, we had a few years before that, our guitar player had decided to go back to school full time, which meant that we had to basically stop touring most of the time. And it's hard to keep up an audience. It's hard to keep up a fan base when you're not on the road. And then we had, our guitar player and bass player had both had really young children at the time, which were demanding on their time, as well as they were both beginning careers that had nothing to do with music that were demanding on their time. So there was that going on. We recorded an album called My Republic, which I think was released in 2006, maybe 2005, which we felt was a strong album, but then nobody bought it. And then we went on a tour to support it, and nobody came. And we sort of thought to ourselves, well, we see what's going on here. We see the writing on the wall. We would rather walk away on our terms with some grace and some dignity than be put out to pasture by forces beyond our control.
Yeah.
That's really what it was. We felt as though music was telling us that it was time to stop.
Well, thankfully that wasn't good riddance, and back together in 2012. How has the return been received by audiences?
It's been great. I mean, ever since the first show, it's been amazing. We've really reconnected with an audience, and it's kind of funny, like our audience is older too now, and it's a lot of parents, it's a lot of married couples, and but there's also a whole new generation of kids that maybe got introduced to us after we'd stopped from an older sibling or friend, and so there's lots of people who are coming out who are seeing us for the first time. So it's a really cool mix of old fans and new fans. It's been really great.
Absolutely. I know I've got a whole family of old to young coming along to see you as soon as you hit Melbourne. I've got to ask you about Shiloh. Great. It was written by Chuck, and it's probably my second favourite from the album. What's that one all about?
It's about war. I mean, I've always felt that war is a kind of a useless celebration, and part of it has to do with being an American and how there's this revered place for armed conflict in our society, and it's supposed to be this glorious thing, and really what ends up happening is a lot of underprivileged men and women are put in harm's way so that a few people can make a lot of money. And that's really what it's about. It's named after one of the great battles of the Civil War. It's really not about that particular battle.
Right.
I'm talking about our Civil War, like 1864.
Yes. Well, I know I'm not alone in extreme excitement that you're back on the road and coming to Australia. I thought in 2007 that was it. I'd never get to see you guys live, so thank you, first of all.
Yeah, no problem.
August 7th starts here at the Corner Hotel in Melbourne, and then Sydney, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth. Have you had a chance to perform the new album live?
Yeah, we played. The record came out in late April. We played a few shows in Southern California. We just got done this past weekend playing San Francisco, and then also our hometown of Santa Cruz. And we also had a chance to play the Grows Rock Festival in Belgium in late April. So we've played new songs at all of those shows, and we've been received great. We've even got people singing along already to the new songs, which is always promising. So yeah, we're really excited to be able to have new stuff to play. Aside from, along with the hits, like the songs that people really love from a long time ago.
Indeed. And look, have the audiences been as excited as I am to see you back? And I've got to say, I'm pretty fucking excited.
Yeah, no, like I said, the response has been great. We really are super grateful. We're blessed to be able to do this, and we really have a tremendous amount of appreciation for anybody who would take time out of their daily lives and put down some hard-earned money to come out and watch us play. It really makes us feel grateful, and we have the best fans in the world, and we're just really excited.
Absolutely brilliant. You'll be coming to us following shows in Canada and then New Zealand. Is there a particular track that you like to perform live from the new album? One of those that might be a favourite?
The opening song on the album, Disputtatio, is a song that we've been playing live, and that seems to get people pretty excited. For me personally, the song Take It to Heart, it's probably my favorite on the new album, and we've been playing that live too. So probably either one of those two.
Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. And hopefully Running on Fumes will be a favourite amongst the fans too. I know it's my favourite. Given where you've come
great.
from...
Yeah, we've been playing that as well.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. It really is killer stuff, the whole album from start to finish. So what are the plans for the future following the tour? Maybe another album, do you think you'll launch into?
I definitely wouldn't rule anything out at this point, but we haven't even discussed new music again. We're going to try to spend the rest of the year, given our everybody's crazy schedule, trying to play as many places as we can. Like as we said, we're playing Major Rock Fest in Quebec up in Canada later this month, and then we have Australia, New Zealand, and then we're going to be playing some northwestern U.S. shows like Seattle, Portland, up into Western Canada in the fall, as well as northeastern United States, so like D.C., Philly, New York City, Boston, and then we'll probably head up to a few club shows in eastern Canada, so like Quebec City, Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto. We're going to try to get to Japan this year, and then back to Europe, hopefully by the spring of 2016, to do some more festivals and headlining shows.
Wow, fantastic! Hit them hard while you're on top again. That's brilliant. You'll need to come back you'll have to come back to Santa Cruz to thaw out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, look, Russ, congratulations again on Peace in Our Time. I know you're pressed for time, and I honestly could chat to you all day. We're genuinely looking forward to seeing you perform live for us, and thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
Hey, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure indeed. Russ, travel safely, mate.
All right, take care. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.